I'm about to show you the closest thing that we have to telling the future and using that information to make money trading the cryptocurrency markets. Disclaimer, it's obviously not quite that simple, but this is about as close as we're going to get to actually looking into the future and telling what is going to happen in terms of price movements. Hello and welcome back. If you are somebody trying to make money trading the crypto markets or trading any financial market for that matter, then by definition, you're trying to tell the future in order to make money. You are trying to tell which direction price is going to go, by how much and when, and use that information to trade the market and pocket the difference. Now that is no simple task, and the problem is when many people come into trading or they come into crypto, because that's usually how it starts, they're shown charts like this and they're taught basic technical analysis, right, where they basically end up drawing loads and loads of lines on a chart like this in order to try and assess what's going to happen in the future. Now, the problem with this is when we look at a chart like this in isolation, it kind of gives the wrong impression about what a market actually is. First of all, there's no way that prices can move side to side. Prices only ever actually go up and down. Now, the second thing is something that I like to say in many of my videos, and that is that price doesn't actually move because of lines or pretty pictures that you've drawn on a chart. Price moves because of supply and demand. And I think when you teach someone technical analysis without actually teaching them what the basis of a market is, they get totally the wrong impression, and that sets them up to fail from the beginning. Now, I don't want to totally write off technical analysis because it is a useful tool, but I think it needs to be taught with the understanding of what I'm about to convey, which is an understanding of liquidity and in particular the order book. So let's take things back a step first of all and unpick what a market actually is. Now, this applies to any financial market whatsoever, not just crypto. These financial markets are at their core pretty similar to any other kind of market, right? For example, the type where you might buy food, fruit, vegetables. So imagine for a minute, if you will, a market where the only thing that's available to purchase are bananas. Every single banana is totally the same in terms of quality, in terms of flavor, in terms of color. They're all a fantastic yellow color and they're all exactly the same shade of yellow. They're all exactly the same size, weight, what have you, and they all come in boxes of, let's say, 30. Two scenarios I want you to picture. First of all, imagine a market where there are 10 vendors, but just one buyer. So what's going to happen? That buyer is going to go up to market stall number one and he's going to say, lovely bananas, what's the price? And the market seller is going to say, $10 for a box. And that buyer can go, well, that sounds like a fair price, but let me go and see what the guy next door is selling his bananas for. And then he'll walk on to the next banana vendor, and the next banana vendor might say to him, $10? I'll sell it to you for $8. How about that? And that one buyer is going to spend his entire day going to every single market stall until he has found the lowest priced banana. And the reason for that is there's simply more supply, i.e. more sellers, more bananas on the market than there are buyers. And since every single banana at that market is exactly the same, the only differentiator that the buyer has to decide which one he's going to buy is the price. This is an example of supply outweighing demand, and therefore it is a buyer's market because the buyer has control. Now, imagine the opposite scenario. So in this case, there are 10 buyers, but this is a really quiet market and there's only one market seller selling bananas. Buyer number one is going to walk up to the market stall and he's going to say, how about $10 for a box of bananas? And the banana seller could say, $10, too cheap, sir. Sorry, there's 9 more buyers on this market. I'm just going to wait for someone else. And then the second buyer might walk up to that stall and he might say, how about $12 for a box of bananas? And again, the salesman could say, sure, someone else is willing to pay more. I'll pass. I'm going to keep my bananas. This is an example of a scenario where demand outweighs supply. Therefore, prices are going up because this is a seller-dominated market. Simple supply and demand. Higher supply, lower demand, prices go down because the buyers have the power. Higher demand, lower supply, prices go up because in this case, the sellers have the power. And obviously the seller wants to get as much money as he possibly can for his goods or services. In this case, bananas, but now let's take that into the crypto market and talk about Bitcoin. Similar to the bananas that we described in this example because it is a fungible token, right? It's not an NFT. My Bitcoin is just the same as this guy's Bitcoin, is just the same as your Bitcoin. They're all the same. So the only thing that we have to compete on is price. And in the crypto markets, where these dynamics of supply and demand manifest is within the order book. Gone are the days where we used to have a room full of people in the New York Stock Exchange, for example, shouting at each other about what the prices were for various stocks. Now it's all managed online, and you can see how it's managed because the order book is fully transparent. And that is how we're going to use this information to look into the future and see what supply and demand is looking like in real time and a few steps ahead of the curve as well. So where does the order book exist? Where might I look into the crystal ball that is the order book? That's a joke. It's not a crystal ball. Absolutely not. You look into your exchange. So I'm on BTCC right now. To make this as realistic as possible, I'm going to take a snapshot of the order book right now, and then we can pick it apart and have a look at what's actually going on. So here we have it, a snapshot of the order book currently for BTC USDT. Let me just dissect this for you so you can see what we're actually looking at. Right, first of all, we've got a list of prices. Now, prices in red, this is the ask. Prices in green, this is the bid. So basically this price here, okay, $62,296.12 is the lowest price that anyone on the market right now is willing to sell you Bitcoin for. This price here, $62,293.21, is the best price that you could possibly get if you had a Bitcoin and you wanted to sell it right now. This is the highest price that a buyer is willing to pay for a Bitcoin right now. So these are bids, okay? And this is the ask. This is what the sellers are asking for the Bitcoin that they are selling right now. So if you jumped into the market right now, no Bitcoins in hand, and you just hit buy, this is the price that you're going to be getting. This is what you're drawing down on, okay? It's the lowest possible ask. This column here, amount BTC, this denotes how much liquidity there is at each price, okay? So right now, there is 0.11 Bitcoin worth for sale at $62,296.12, but there are a lot more people in the market who are willing to sell their Bitcoin at $62,296.98, one step up the ladder. Likewise, all the way up the book at $62,299.67, there are 0.5 worth of Bitcoin for sale. This final column on the right is the sum total value of liquidity, and this is cumulative, right? That is why also you can see the red bar chart here. There's more liquidity as the book goes up. So to explain how this might change if someone came into the market and started hitting buy. By the way, side note, no one goes into the market and just hits buy. There's very, very specific scenarios where you might want to be a market taker. That is someone who goes into the market and just hits buy and takes the market price. But those scenarios are limited. Generally speaking, if you're level-headed and you're trading with a strategy in mind, that's not going to be you, okay? You're going to be someone saying, I want to get into the market at prices lower than they are right now. For example, if you wanted to get long, I wanted to get into the market at, say, $62,290.08. Therefore, you are placing a bid further down the book than the price is right now. You're not just grabbing the lowest hanging fruit. So if I was to go into the market and place a bid for one whole Bitcoin at a price of $62,290.08, this number, 1.37, would go up to 2.37, because now there is a buyer in the book willing to pay $62,290.08 for one Bitcoin, and I have advertised that to the market by placing a limit order. When you go into your exchange and you place a limit order, that is how you are affecting the order book. Conversely, if I had a Bitcoin and I wanted to sell it, and I wanted to get a price of $62,299.67 for that Bitcoin, I would place a limit sell order at $62,299.67, and therefore this number would go up to 1.5. Therefore, I am adding liquidity to the book, and I am technically speaking a market maker, although not to be confused with a professional market maker, which is its own thing. Now, that's what we mean when we talk about liquidity. To keep this very, very simple, what can I tell you about the future right now, looking at this order book? Because of the sum liquidity, there is a lot more sell-side liquidity, i.e. 2.54 Bitcoins worth, than there is buy-side liquidity, i.e. 1.88 Bitcoins worth. And that means, because supply outweighs demand, price is likely to come down. Now, the big caveat to that is, this is live. As you can see, it's changing all the time. And that means that this can be hard to read in real time. There are a few more situations that can arise in the order book. One of the main ones is order spoofing. So for a number of different reasons, the price that something is advertised at isn't always the price that gets taken, right? I could put my house on the market for a certain price, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the house is going to sell for that price. People can also do this somewhat maliciously, where they'll put in a massive sell order that they have no intention of letting be filled, therefore scaring the market and pushing the price down when their intentions are to actually buy into the market. This is particularly dangerous in situations where there's a lot of leverage in the market and smaller players might get stopped out. That is a situation called stop hunting, and it's just one example of larger players bullying the market in order to get what they want. An understanding of the order book gives you an understanding of liquidity, gives you an understanding of supply and demand, and that is what moves markets. Now, my final tip would be that, of course, looking at the order book here on BTCC, we can extend the depth of this, but really we can only see a range of prices from 62,296 up to 62,299.67, which isn't a very broad range of price. So to zoom out and use this information about liquidity and about supply and demand to actually make trading decisions ahead of time, you want to use tools like Bookmap, which gives you a much better visual representation of liquidity at prices that you can't see directly in the order book on your exchange. So to summarize, markets don't move because of pictures drawn on a chart. Markets move because of supply and demand supply and demand is manifested in the order book. The order book is where we see what market participants are planning to do in the future, or at least what they say they're planning to do in the future. And for that reason, it is the closest thing that we have to being able to tell the future and use that information to make money trading the markets. As always, not financial advice, just my opinion. Hope you found it interesting. Plenty more to come. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.